in this next portion, we are going to talk about quantified statements and negation, and then we're going to combine those two together. So quantified statements would use words, for example, like all, every, each, no, or none, okay? In every one of these instances, this is an all or nothing proposition, okay? Universal quantifiers include everything in the universal set, or they include nothing in the universal set, okay? There's no in between. There are other types of words and phrases called existential phrases, which would be existential quantifiers, would be words like these. It would be something like some, one, or like at least one. Okay, you could have other things, at least two, almost all. I mean, anything that doesn't mean all or none. It's kind of all of the in between, okay? Anywhere from one up to not quite everybody. So some examples of quantified statements, and we're going to real quick just jot down whether they're universal quantifiers, I'll use a UQ, or whether they're existential. So no Cubs fan is also a Cardinals fan. So we're saying, again, that's a no, none proposition. This would be a universal quantifier. Some dogs have fleas, so that's, again, in between every dog and no dogs at all, so that's an existential qualifier. Everyone needs water to survive. Again, that's an all, that's an everybody, so that's a universal quantifier. And then we'll go out to eat at least once this week. So that's not, we're never going out. It doesn't mean we're going out every day. It's, again, that somewhere in between. That's an existential quantifier as well. Okay. For a negation, if you want to think of it as kind of like a negative, it's sort of the same thing. So in logic, what a negation does is it takes a statement and it turns it into a statement that has the opposite truth value. Okay, now in very general terms, you can kind of throw the word not in there and move on. Okay, but again, that's very general terms, especially when we talk about those quantifiers that we just got done discussing. So let's go through some basics here. For the first one, right, the negation of the statement, the team finished in first place. Okay, what you cannot say is the team finished in second place. All right, why could you not say that? Well, because both of those things could be false. Okay, the team may have not finished at all. Okay, they may have been disqualified. So just because you would say the team finished in first place, maybe that's false. Saying they finished in second place may also be false. And so you have to have, if one is true, the other is false, and vice versa. Okay, so in this case, it would be the team did not finish in first place. Okay, that leaves the option that they finished maybe in second place. Maybe they didn't finish at all. Okay, all you know is they're either first, or in this case, they weren't first. And if they did finish in first place, it would be then a false statement to say they didn't finish in first place, and vice versa. Okay, I ate a sandwich for lunch. So again, I didn't eat a sandwich for lunch. Okay, I don't care whether you had salad. I don't care whether you didn't eat lunch at all. But if you did not eat a sandwich for lunch, okay, that's false. Then saying I didn't eat a sandwich for lunch would be true. All right. You wouldn't necessarily have to say, hey, I had a burger for lunch. Well, again, maybe, maybe not. So hopefully you're kind of catching on here. So the price of the car is $20,000. So this would be the price of the car is not $20,000. Okay. So fairly simple when it comes to basic statements. Okay. Now where it does get perhaps a little trickier is when you start talking about those quantified statements, okay? You do have to be really careful. I got the example here at the top of the page, where if you say all dogs are brown, okay, and that's false, obviously we know that, you cannot say all dogs are not brown, okay, because that's not true either. All right, that would be false because there are dogs that are brown, okay? So if that's the case, what you really have to do to show that that statement is wrong is just find one dog. It could be more than one, but all you need to do is find one dog that's not brown, okay? And then everything falls apart. So what you would have to do for the negation of all dogs are brown is to say some dogs aren't brown, okay? So like if you're a parent, or maybe you've as the child you've done this, but mom, everybody's doing whatever, everybody's going to the party. No, they're not. You're not going to the party. Or, John over there didn't go to the party. All you need to do is find one person object that's the exception. So there are some things here in the box that tell you some basic negations and how it's not, again, every one in an exhaustive fashion, but it kind of gives you a little hint about what's going on. So for the first one, nobody attended the orientation. Okay, the opposite or the negation of that is not everybody attended. Okay, if nobody attended, the opposite or the negation of that would just be at least one person attended. Somebody showed up, okay? And so you can say at least one. I'm going to look at it as somebody attended the orientation. And again, if one of those is true, the other has to be false, and vice versa, okay? There are no even prime numbers. All right, so if that is the statement, you have to make that a negation, okay? So the negation of none at all, and you can look up here, the negation of none is some do, okay? You could also go for like at least one. Those are not, again, set in stone kinds of things here, just some ideas. So I'm going to say there is at least one even prime number. Okay. There is at least one person in this class with blue eyes. Okay, there is at least one. So in other words, somebody, okay, somebody has blue eyes. The negation of that would be nobody in this class has blue eyes. Okay, so going from there's at least one, there's somebody, okay, the opposite of that would be nobody, all right? No Cubs fan is also a Cardinals fan, okay? Now, this doesn't mean we have to go again to the total opposite, that every Cubs fan is also a Cardinals fan, but we might say some Cubs fans are also Cardinals fans. All right, so two more here. Some dogs have fleas, okay? So that's true, right? Some dogs do have fleas. The opposite of that, okay, if some dogs have fleas and that's true, you want to go, again, kind of that other way here. If some do, the complete opposite of that would be no dogs have fleas. All right, and then last but not least, all third graders learn to write in cursive. And so here we have our all, and the negation would be some do not, or at least one does not. And so I'm going to go with some do not. So some third graders do not learn to write in cursive. Okay, and do be aware that these phrases up here, they do work back and forth. So if you negate the negation, you kind of end up back at the beginning. So if you have, you can see like, you know, an all do leads us to some do not, some do leads us to none of them do. You can go back and forth each way. All right, so there's a little bit with quantifiers and negations. The next thing we will be looking at is then how to represent our phrases symbolically.